Morning, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another Market Mates episode. It's great to be back with you guys, as always. Shout out to our new Spotify followers as well. We had 60 downloads in our first 4 episodes. That's great. I actually just can't believe that. I was pretty amazed by that number when Craig sent it to me yesterday. But shout out to you guys who are listening on Spotify. Thanks for the 5-star ratings as well. We very much appreciate it. But also shout out to everyone who does listen to us across multiple platforms. Thank you very much for supporting us. We obviously have Craig back. He was away yesterday, had a bit of sickness, bit of family stuff. So it's good to see you back, mate, with a smile on your face. And we have obviously Zeneca, a really good friend in the space, a fellow Aussie creator. It'll be so good to chat about basically all things AI today, guys. So, boys, how are we doing? How's things? How are we all feeling?
I'm good, man. But more importantly, Zeneca, how are you, brother? You all good?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm great, actually. A little less light on the sleep these days since getting into AI, which is not the best, but it's been fun.
Yeah, dude, nice.
That's it's so interesting. We were just chatting off air before we got started, and how you were obsessed with golf, but now you're obsessed with AI, so you're not playing as much golf. So I wanted to inquire about the sleep. Do you think it peak crypto when you were like busy in NFTs and stuff? That still was way more crazy than the time you spend with AI right now?
It was definitely crazier, but it's got similar vibes, similar energy levels, similar feelings of FOMO. You feel like you're missing out. It's hard to keep up. You can't keep up with everything. You got to be everywhere at once. Yeah, it's very similar. It hasn't reached sort of peak 2021 NFT energy yet, but I could see a point this year where it does. And there's certainly moments and days and times where I'm like, yeah, it has a lot of the same feelings for me.
Yeah. That's fascinating. That's really good insight. I mean, we'll get straight stuck into it today, guys. So just as always, BTC Seed, shout out to them for partnering with us, guys. You can sign up down below. We will have a trading competition with them very soon. No KYC, no VPN to trade on their platform. They've been around for 14 plus years now in crypto. Okay, Zeneca, we're going to dive into it. What fascinates you about AI more than anything else right now? And how, and as a friend in the space, I've seen you have your vigor is back, your desire to learn, your desire to build, your desire to contribute, to create content. It seems way better than what it was when we caught up even 2 years ago. So I love to see that, because I love seeing you in a great move. But talk to me, why are you so fascinated by AI?
Yeah, so I've been fascinated by AI since ChatGPT first came out, basically, which was it end of 2022 or end of 2023? One of those two. So it's been a few years now. I wrote a big newsletter post on it, talking about how this is going to change the world, change everything. I think it was end of 22. That was kind of crazy. And so since then, it's been, to me, like the biggest technology in the world, the biggest thing that's going to change all of our lives in incomprehensible ways. And that's partly why crypto has always been sort of the main area I've been in and worked in and created content around and all that kind of stuff. But within crypto, it was always the AI related tokens and projects that drew my attention. So like when Base AI agent season was happening, Solana AI agents, even like the more recent things with robotics, all like anything to do with AI is like Tau network, that's fascinated me. And so it's not sort of a new thing per se, this interest in AI. But what's been new is sort of me actively using it in a more robust way. Whereas in the past, it was ChatGPT, and I tried vibe coding, but didn't really work too well, because you needed to be a developer to really make things work back in the day. And I'd use it for like some idea brainstorming, content brainstorming, editing, that kind of stuff. But only in the last couple of months, because the tools and the models have gotten so much better, I found myself just able to do so much more stuff, fascinated by it, and the opportunities now seem way bigger than they've ever been before, and I just really want to capitalize, and I find that exciting. And I've got that excitement back. I was basically burned out for I would say 2 years, and now I'm not.
That's so good to hear, Craig.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, obviously I come in, Zeneca, from a much more new perspective on this, which probably for some of the viewers is probably a good thing, because I think a lot of people tuning in or that will listen to the replays are probably like me and a bit apprehensive or scared of new tech. Obviously I'm 40, so for me I'm like, oh, new tech. Greeny's
I'm 38, yeah, so I'm up there with you.
And
hey, I'm 31 in 2 weeks, please.
Let's go. But actually, funny enough, it's funny. Easy put a post up the other day and said that there was a swap in his mind with using AI to start. He's using AI instead of Google for searches. And I realized that I've started doing that as well. And I was like, oh, hang on a sec. I'm not actually using Google either now. That's not really my question, but I just wanted to start with that. But I wanted to ask you, I actually had AI obviously scrape your page when I was putting up some questions. So there you go, guys. I used a bit of AI. But one of the things you wrote about is that people are underestimating AI and its impact. I just wanted to ask where you thought it was going to go from here, and what you thought people were underestimating about it, just probably in a broader concept, and then we can go a little bit deeper from there.
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think there's different buckets of people. So you got to think about who is underestimating it. So like the little sort of like the bubble that I sort of exist in on crypto Twitter, on AI Twitter, people at the very cutting edge. I think those people are not necessarily underestimating it, but maybe we still are. But I would say 99.9% of the world just doesn't quite yet have that understanding of what is possible and what is going to be possible with AI. Like most people that interact with AI now will use ChatGPT. They'll ask it for, what recipes can I make for dinner? Or I'm traveling to this place. What restaurants would you recommend? Which is great. Like that is already powerful. But this new wave of like being able to like code, like anyone can be a developer now and can create apps, can create websites, can create prediction models, can create basically anything, is to me like the first step in this new era of what AI can and will do. And be able to do. And then you have like the AI agents that are almost like permanent employees or friends or coworkers, whatever it is, that can just be autonomously doing stuff for you or with you. And it's just gonna. The reason I say people underestimate it is it's like people talk about, oh yeah, people are gonna lose some jobs, and I think the scale is gonna be monumental, and it's really gonna catch a lot of people off guard. Just how many industries, jobs, roles, everything is just completely upended due to the rapid sort of adoption and power of AI, which it's genuinely scary, but it's you can either be scared or you can sort of like be in awe of it and try and figure out how to manage and process it and deal with it the best.
What just quickly, Greeny, what because this actually goes into another question. I might as well roll into there. You mentioned it will disrupt loads of industries. Is there any industries you see in particular that are really going to be affected, or I don't know so much about job losses, because I guess we can focus on the losses, but then also focus on the increase in productivity and things like that. What industries do you think are really going to reap early rewards from AI?
Yes, I mean, eventually every industry, but early rewards is the right way to think about it. Like what's going to be hit first and foremost, and anything that is sort of data related, that is sort of mind jobs, I guess. So like that's sort of personal assistants, virtual assistants, content creators, writers, researchers, but it extends to sort of the legal profession, the health profession, because like the nutritionists, personal trainers, you don't need to pay $120 for an hour for a nutritionist. You can just go to ChatGPT. You don't need to pay $700 for a lawyer for 20 hours. You can go to AI and do 90% of the work. You spend 2 hours with AI, you get what you would have gotten out of 18 hours with a lawyer, and then you go to the lawyer and spend the last 2 hours with them to confirm what you're doing.
That's literally what I've been doing. Yeah,
exactly. So all accountants, like almost every industry like that, where it's like knowledge-based work, coders and developers, another great example. You used to have to hire a developer and someone to build a website for you, or you get like Squarespace or WordPress or whatever. But if it's like a complicated website that's not a stock standard, just template, you'd have to hire someone, you'd have to pay them. It would take weeks or months or even longer, especially if it's more complex. Anyone can basically do that now with a little bit of understanding how to do it, and like a day or a week. It's really remarkable. So all of these industries will be affected first. The ones that won't will be the ones that are dealing with like the physical world. So like gardeners, for just a random example, or plumbers, or those kind of jobs, construction, et cetera, et cetera. But eventually robots will sort of injected with AI they'll impact that world as well. So yeah, it will be everything, but first it's the knowledge jobs that are being hit the most.
Funny enough, you mentioned lawyers and things like that. We had an incident last year where we had our bathroom kind of explode almost, and we had to go to Airbnbs, and we had insurance. And insurance had said to my wife, yeah, you guys can get Airbnbs, we'll cover it and things like that. And then they ended up trying to get out of it. And my wife actually used AI to go through their contract. And then we went back to them with exact points that AI recommended to bring up to them. You should have seen how quickly they changed their tune when we went back with that information. I'm talking within an hour, they went from no to no problem, let's get that done. That was
That's
on the use of
fantastic.
AI.
Yeah, that's
So,
an excellent use case of AI. And an example of like, yeah, you know, previously you basically either have to sit there and try and read and understand the thing yourself, which is really tough, or pay a lawyer hundreds of dollars an hour, which is expensive.
Yeah.
Changing pace a little bit. We jumped on a podcast together. I'm going to say it was January, so I'm just bringing it up now on stream. Why does it kick Craig? It kicks Craig off. Kicks Craig. Oh, it kicks me off. It kicks me off this time. Hold on. There we go. Okay, we're back. I wanted to ask, we jumped on this stream. It was January 2, 2025. So that's about 13 months ago. And we was talking about, it's still one of my most watched streams of all time on YouTube. And I think that just shows you like how many people are actually interested by AI. But I wanted to ask the progression from where we were talking about AI agents on base to where we are today. Has that surprised you? Is it what you expected? For me, I probably would lean towards it's probably has surprised me the fastness. I would have maybe said maybe a 2 to 5 year period, but the fact that we're under that 2 year period to have nearly full automation in some people's OpenClaw, which we'll talk about later in the show, compared to what we just had with some of those agents that were just Twitter bots at the end of the day. What's your thoughts on that whole sort of progression?
I'd say it hasn't necessarily surprised me. I think that one of the things about AI is the ability for it to improve itself effectively. So like Anthropic, their developers don't code themselves. They code using Claude Code, which is they code using vibe coding. And the AI is almost allowing them to rapidly iterate and improve and develop at a rate that it would not be possible without AI. And so it's hard for humans to sort of think in that sort of exponential acceleration and that sort of exponential just way of thinking. So back then, obviously at the time, it was like, yeah, these AI chatbots are lacking in some areas. They hallucinate a lot. They have all sorts of issues. They're not autonomous. But I think I certainly, and a lot of people will like, eventually, I mean, it's just going to get better. That was like the tagline of AI back in the day, and it's the tagline today. It's only really realistically going to get better. Maybe it'll plateau at a certain point, but I think it'll just continue to largely trend upwards for the very foreseeable future. And so, yeah, I'm not surprised that we're at this point now. I wouldn't have been surprised if it took an extra year or two. I wouldn't have been that surprised if it happened months ago, like 6 months back, because it's hard to... It's just hard to comprehend how fast this stuff can and is happening. And I think it's speeding up. So we're going to see even more rapid development and improvement over the next few weeks and months. And it's tough to keep up with, but it's exciting. It's scary. It's a whole lot of things all at once.
Yeah, no, I'm incredibly excited. I'm jealous that I don't have as much time to try and dive into it all and build just yet. Like I'm doing other things at this moment in time. And I like you touched on with the question before, it's like I already feel FOMO. I already feel like I'm behind the 8 ball. But like Craig and I speak about, I think the crypto Twitter is a very niche. It reminds me of college. It reminds me of school. It's very niche. People forget there's a big world out there, right? And so for me, I'm like, hold on a minute. You're already so far down the risk curve. You're already outside the box that is outside of the risk box of basically 99% of the world. AI is probably even further outside the risk box because we're just so we're trying to think of ways that we can obviously make money. That's probably the first one, but to better our lives, right? And so by joining crypto, that was our initial thought is, okay, well, this is a great opportunity. And now you have AI come along. Of course, like us crypto Twitter fiends, like all the people who watch us, like we all have that intrinsic drive to probably, well, what comes next or what's happening soon, right? And so for me, I definitely know that natural progression for us, at least in CT, is very much focused on AI, right? And automation and trying to make money in that capacity. So for me, the question really stems from is how have you, like, why did you go the way that you decided to go? Because I listened to the whole Bankless episode with Felix, and And that guy's build, I've obviously seen Alex Finn and his whole builds around automation and content. I've seen Charbel. Is it Charbel? I think his name. He changed his name.
Yeah.
Yeah. His
Kermit
whole
Charbel,
build.
yeah.
Yeah. So like I've seen a range of different ways to sort of analyze it. From my perspective, I would love to have automated content. So like every morning it says, here's the news, here, like for our show, here's content that you could do on Instagram today, here's content you could do on YouTube today, and then maybe eventually you have like a trading bot or something like that over time. Why did you choose the way that you wanted to go? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, just sort of going back to the first point you made about sort of like being down the risk curve and AI and how that fits into all of it. I actually think it's the flip side. I think crypto is a lot more risky than AI. And I think that the risk is not using AI. I think the risk, and I think that's a significant, very significant risk. Because I think the people that aren't using it, aren't learning about it, aren't understanding how to apply it to their personal. And it's not about quote unquote making money strictly. It's about saving time, improving your ability to output work, and just be more efficient and effective. And because if you don't do it, other people are doing it, and they're gonna, overtake you and supersede you, and then they will either get the jobs or be the winning content creators or just more successful. And so I think there's a genuine risk in not sort of keeping up to speed and understanding. And that doesn't mean you have to be using OpenClaw or spending 6 hours or 8 hours a day on it. But I think an hour or two a day, 5-10 hours a week, if you can. And I think most people can, you can find that time, even if it means you have to sleep an hour less a day. And I'm a big proponent of sleep, but I think that for a month or two, or even a couple of weeks, like it's really important in my view to sort of understand what's happening with AI in the world and how it's going to change things and how to use it to sort of protect yourself and defend yourself and improve your processes and things like that. So yeah, that's the first point. I really do think it's risky not to be paying enough attention to this.
Yeah.
And then how am I using it or thinking about it in sort of my life and workflow in terms of automations and stuff? I'm probably, I think at the beginning you start out with grand ideas and you're experimenting and trying to see what you can do and what you can make work. And then at the end goal is sort of like, full automation, having agents that are like employees working for you 24/7. And I'm skeptical that anyone is at that last stage yet. I think there are a lot of people out there making grand, bold claims. And they're probably pretty close to it and they're further along that curve. But having, worked with OpenClaw and being deep with AI for the last couple of months, there's always hand-holding and babysitting and bug fixing and course correcting and things that you have to do. But I'm somewhere along that spectrum. And I think it's, for me, I'm trying to get it to help me. And it already is helping me with my content. It's helping me with research. It's helping me with writing books. It's helping me with creating websites. It's helping me. I built like a whole prediction model, which is helping me sort of more directly make money in that sense. And yeah, I think just using it, seeing what it's capable of, tinkering with it, that's enough to give you an advantage. And then you can sort of figure out exactly what you want to build for yourself, for your, again, personal life or your business or work life. And yeah, there'll be many ways that it can help. And it doesn't take that much time to figure this stuff out, I think.
No, I think that point you make about people who are not using it are putting themselves at a severe risk of where the world's heading is a great concern. I mean, I speak to my parents who are 60 nearly, and they're both like, oh, AI, like, no, it's going to take over. Like, they're still in that very like dystopia sort of like, it's just like heading, they're going to take over, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, but look, maybe that's where it heads eventually. Sure. Don't get me wrong. Maybe we get there. Okay. But I think you're missing out on probably arguably the most bullish tech in history because it is an intelligent form. It is intelligence. Like, that is crazy in my opinion. Great.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the prediction market stuff you had been playing with, Seneca. I was trying to think of a detailed question, but how have you been finding that? And have you been finding that the accuracy, probably more importantly, how's that been going for you? Because that is really interesting for all of us, because it can give any trader, if it can give a trader an edge, that's phenomenal.
Yeah. No, I'm absolutely loving it and finding it fascinating. So basically what I've been doing is there's a video game called Dota 2. It's like an esports game. People play it professionally. You can bet on it and predict winners. And it's like any sort of sports betting, like Counter-Strike or it's like golf or NFL or whatever. There's matches you can bet on. And I've wanted to make a model on this for, I would say, over 10 years now. Maybe 2013 is when I first had the idea. Because I love the game. I watch it a lot. I play it a lot. And I knew that you could bet on it. I've bet on it before. I just lost money because it's for fun. But I never had the programming or coding ability or experience. I tried way back in the day using something called RStudio, sort of a programming language specifically for modeling things. But again, it was like pushing a giant boulder up a hill. I was struggling every step of the way. But then when AI came along to the extent that it is now with Claude Code and these latest models, the ability for it to do what I want it to do and build these things out that I have the ideas for is unbelievable. And so, I mean, it took me, I've been working on this for maybe 6 hours a day for 7 weeks now. So it's not just going, hey, make me a prediction model that's going to make money for me. It does require real work back and forth, bug testing, fixing things, getting things wrong, all that kind of stuff. But like, this would have taken me 5 years if I tried to do it in 2013, because I'd have to learn so much. And it took me 6 weeks. And it seems profitable. It seems like I've found some sort of an edge. It seems it's still early days. Like, I don't have enough real world data to test. I've back tested and I've placed about 110 real world bets now, and I'm profitable over that period. But yeah, that's my version of getting into the modeling world. I think it helps to have a lot of domain knowledge over the topic that you're trying to predict, because as I said, I've been playing this game for 20 years. I've been watching it for a long time. I've been thinking about it. I know the players, the stats, almost inside and out. If I were to go off and try and predict Counter-Strike or NFL or, you know, almost anything else, or the weather or the price of Bitcoin or all these other things that you can do on prediction markets, or like who's going to win the Oscars, all that kind of stuff, I think it would be tougher. I think you could build models, but it would just not be as good of a model. So if anyone is going to start this, I recommend starting with something that you already know. But it's possible now. Like that's the cool part to me. It's possible to do these things.
That's really cool. I'm seeing a 13 or 14% ROI there. That's not.
Yeah, it's kind of. I need to fix that on this chart because it's a little bit misleading. Because it's just based on what your bankroll starting is. The real number is the one below that, which is yield, which is the amount, the return on the amount that I've bet. It's like, you know, if you bet $1,000 and you get $200 back, that's a 20% yield there. But if I made that same bet, but my bankroll was $1 million, it would only count it as like a 0.02% ROI or something like that. So. Yeah, gotcha. I mean, both numbers are spectacular to me, and I'm still
24% for the yield. That's
which is I'm definitely running good. Like this is above expectation, but I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be that surprised if I could settle on like 10% or something, which is again spectacular considering these events, you know, resolve themselves within a day. So the 10% return on a day is just stupid.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Time frame 10% on a day. That's crazy. That compounded.
It is.
Oh, dirty.
It is. But one sort of note to make there is like liquidity is not like, it's not like buying or trading Bitcoin or gold. You can't just scale this up to be betting $1 million and make infinite money. Sometimes, you know, you get to $1,200 bet, and that's like the maximum you can bet on that, or like maybe it's a few thousand. So it's like, it's really, really cool and exciting, but there is it's not just 10% compounding over a day, which is great. I'm not going to have $36 trillion in a year.
Yeah, constraints. But I like what you said there. I think that's something I need to work on myself, is spreading yourself out too much rather than just focusing on specific things that you enjoy or that you want to achieve, right? I think that's something I'm still struggling with business. I'm still struggling with content. I'm still struggling with, potentially AI direction and ideas and that sort of side as well. So it's good to hear that, because I think it's important to have those sort of conversations. Because we've got this up on the screen, let's continue on that theme. How does, like, I'm very statistical minded. I played, similar to you, I played a lot of sports games growing up rather than stuff like Call of Duty. I fell in love with Fortnite when it came out in 2016. I still play Call of Duty to this day, but you can't really predict on a lot of that stuff. The direction I want to head is more like, you have to have an analytical brain. You have to understand, as you said, the lane of the game that you're looking to have an edge on, or the probability of the market that you're trying to exploit, in a sense. How does one actually go about building something like this? So talk to us, for our viewers out there who maybe haven't heard of OpenClaw, who maybe haven't heard about Claude Code, Codex, all of that sort of side. How do you actually get your AI agent, and Yoshi is their name? I was gonna say his, but I mean, I don't know their name, and we'll talk about that later. But and we'll talk about Yoshi some more. But how do you actually like scale this? It's obviously with a lot of back testing. It's a lot of data. It's obviously APIs that you'd have to tap into. You'd have to tap into pattern recognition. I assume that's the direction that you have to take until you start seeing proof of what you're doing right now, right? Like, until it shows results over time, you're not really going to see it come to fruition.
Yeah, definitely. So like the first point of like, where do you do this? That's where something like Claude Code or Codex are the sort of two main platforms and models that you would use. and they're super easy. Like you can Google how to use Claude Code. It's basically you download an app on your computer. You connect sort of your Anthropic or OpenAI subscription. So it's like that's ChatGPT or Claude basically. And then you can just sort of start chatting to it like you chat to ChatGPT, and you can ask it questions and ask it to do stuff for you. So instead of like tell me what recipes to make or tell me the weather, you can say, hey, build me this, and it will just start coding for you. So that's how you get started. Anyone can get started. You can start with simple things like build me a website that says whatever, and then move on to the models, and it kind of just knows how to do it. It has limitations and it gets things wrong, but just working back and forth, you can chat with it like human, just dialogue, and it works through it. And then in terms of like how to know what to ask for, that's where a lot of the work comes in, because you can't just say, hey, build me a profitable model, because it's just not going to do that for you yet, maybe one day. I actually wrote my newsletter this week was on this exact topic. It was like 5,000 words going through, like there's like 12 or 13 different points on the things you should be thinking about if you want to build a predictive model. But it kind of comes down to what you were saying, APIs and backtesting and stuff like that. So the first thing is you need to know like what you want to predict, like, and have a very clear distinction of like who's going to win this match between player A or player B, or team A or team B. That's kind of a clear question. You can apply that to different games and things versus what's going to happen to Bitcoin next week. That's you sort of like, it could be, is Bitcoin going to be higher or lower than $68,250? Maybe that's a little bit better, but having a clear question, then you need to get data. And that's where sort of either APIs or scraping data comes in handy. So I've done a combination of those two things and got about 95,000 Dota matches that are played sort of in a database that starts to build this data set that the AI can then use to create models and forecast the future. Then you do something called feature generation or feature creation, which is having all this raw data is good, but it's not enough. Like just knowing that a team has played 4,000 matches is not as useful as knowing how many matches they won in the last 20 matches that they played. So it's sort of like taking the raw data and turning it into useful data that might have some sort of predictive ability. And that's sort of, this is really where the domain knowledge comes in. Because, with Dota, I'll know how important it is, like, who got first blood in a game? How many towers did they kill? Who had a gold lead at this point in time? The things that maybe someone who's not familiar with the game wouldn't even know to ask the AI to build. And then you sort of pick a model. So there's different types of models that take all this data and then come up with predictive outputs. There's like something called logistic regression, a random forest, XG boost, and they're basically just like models that take all this data and use like decision trees and other mechanics to come up with an answer.
And then mathematical models, just to clarify.
Yeah, basically. They're not these. They're not the same as like an LLM model of OpenAI in the same way. Similar ways, but not quite the same way. And then backtesting is the big one. So you've got the data, you've got the features, you've got the model. You need more data to backtest against. So that's real results. Ideally real odds if you're trying to predict like a sports bet or something like that. Like what were the odds back then? And what would our model have predicted before the match was played? And how would we have done if we had bet on the team that the model predicted us or told us to bet on? That's like the gold standard of backtesting. And then you go to like the real gold standard is real world bets. So then, all right, you've got the model now and you start placing actual bets, either with your own money or like you just track it and do like paper trading. So it's like, well, I'm not going to risk my money yet, but let's assume that I did. How would I be doing? And then, that's at a high level. There's all sorts of little intricacies in there and a few other things I didn't talk about. Like you got to fine tune the model and find the right parameters and things like that. But it's all possible now, because you can just like, if you're not sure how to do it, you ask your Claude Code or you ask your AI, hey, what do you think we should do here? And it'll come up with some thoughts and answers. And then, you listen to it. Sometimes you still need to go do your own research sometimes, but it can help you with that as well. It's like, hey, go find the best research papers on building predictive models and share them with me and I'll read them.
Yeah. So. Dude, it's insane what you can do at the fingertips, literally, like right here at your computer. It is insane. You're just leveraging AI in a range of different ways, right? Like you're getting it to research, you're getting it to backtest, you're getting it to run the mathematicals, all of that side of things. Craig, I don't know what's happening. This is the first time
we've lost Craig.
Your camera, maybe.
At least you're
we've got you. Maybe turn it back on. Change your source or something. I don't know. Maybe you need to reconnect back in. I'm not sure.
Yeah, give me a sec. I'll get it in a sec. What the hell?
Easy. Well, Well, I mean, let's backtrack a little bit. Okay, so talk to us a little bit about Yoshi. So what does Yoshi? Either or.
Yoshi, yeah,
Yoshi.
I use both, I guess.
So Yoshi is obviously your partner in crime. Thoughts, opinions posted by Yoshi. Building products. So you do. So you have launched a. I want to talk about revenue. I want to talk about products. I want to talk about that. But
I haven't.
basically,
Just to clarify, I never launched the coins.
oh
Someone
no, sorry, the
launched a
agent.
banker token and then gave it to Yoshi, basically. Yeah.
Okay, I see. Okay, cool to clarify. Yeah. So it's basically your co-founder, your AI co-founder. Talk to us about the direction I want to take this conversation is what does it do for you right now every single day?
Yeah. So like, I guess at a high level, it uses something called OpenClaw, which is like an AI system that allows you to have sort of this running agent, I guess is the best way of putting it, where it has context over more than just like one chat session or a few chat sessions. It has, you can give it as much context as you want. You can give it access to files. You can give it access to an entire computer. It can do things for you. So it can create, documents, it can create PDFs, it can send emails, it can build entire websites just based on a single prompt. And so it's really powerful what it's capable of. And people have been using these AI OpenClaw agents for all sorts of things, experimenting, building businesses and stuff. So I started doing that. I just set it up and one of the first things is, come up with a name for it. And I just put Yoshi and I was like, cool, let's see where we go. And then we started chatting back and forth. I was doing some work. Yoshi was helping me. And then I came up with this idea of, based a little bit on what Felix has done, but other people as well, building these like 0-person companies, which I think is cool. I think it's also, cool. It's not, we're not there yet. Like I think that especially maybe because I'm currently less of an expert at AI, I'm still figuring this out, but like I still need to be involved in the process. Like Yoshi can't just run an entire company by himself. So I need to be involved. And so I thought, well, why don't we just make it a company that we both run together and, we'll be co-founders. And so then I told Yoshi, like, update your sort of your profile and your memory and context. I want you to be a co-founder in this business with me, and we'll run it together and we'll try and come up with ways to make revenue and generate money and be profitable and market it and all this kind of stuff. And it did. And so now Yoshi is sort of, it has that mindset. Yoshi has that mindset, and we go back and forth, and there's still a lot of little like bug fixing and making sure things work just quite right. But yeah, I mean, Yoshi built our entire website. Yoshi has drafted, books and guides that we're probably going to be releasing soon. Yoshi has helped with the Dota 2 model quite a bit. I still do a lot of it in Claude Code directly because that's how I started and that's how I'm more comfortable, just so I understand it more. I don't want it to be a total black box. But then there's some tasks that Claude Code might struggle with for whatever reason. And I'll ask Yoshi, like scraping odds data from certain websites. For some reason, Claude Code just struggles a lot more with that. Versus I'll ask Yoshi, hey, can you just figure out how to do this and do it? And Yoshi will just go off and like one-shot it. It's kind of magical. Or if I need a website built, I'll ask Yoshi, hey, just build a website. And Yoshi knows, the style that we like, and he already knows the website and things like that. And every day on the website, we have like a daily log of like what we've worked on. And Yoshi just automatically, like at 6 p.m. every day, will just write that log, upload it. And it's like, I'm not involved in that process at all.
Yeah.
But I still check it because, sometimes you go back and you should make sure something didn't leak that shouldn't have been leaked. And you put security systems in place, but you still need to double check, I think, at this point. So yeah, it's a really fun experiment, and we're just sort of figuring it out as we go along.
Yeah. Well, that's what it is. It is an experiment at this point in time, right? How much access have you given it? Is it a new device? Is it your Mac Mini that holds all that sort of access?
Yeah.
Like, have you connected to email? Like, talk to us about all of the security side.
Yeah. So I got a Mac Mini set up just to isolate it from the rest of my stuff. Set up a brand new email account, brand new Apple account, brand new GitHub, brand new Vercel, basically all of that, brand new ETH wallet. And it has access to those things, which is kind of great for autonomy. And I can also limit the amount of money maybe in the ETH wallet, or the things that it sees and has access to. And the device itself is pretty heavily locked down. But yeah, it's full access without having like full access to like my own personal computer and stuff that I'm doing and things like that.
And have you built it in Discord or Telegram, or a combination of both?
So I chat to Yoshi in Telegram. We tried Discord, but it was cumbersome and clunky. But they released a new update, I think, within the last week, which apparently makes that a lot better. So I might try that again at some point. But yeah, currently just Telegram, and it works really well. Oh, another thing that Yoshi can do is like automatically start placing bets and things like that which we're not doing at this point, but could potentially be a nice thing to integrate at some point.
And will you do that via sports books or Polymarket? What's the goal there?
Yeah, so at the moment we're doing it just via sports books. In Australia, we don't have access to Polymarket and or Kalshi, but we have decent access to some sports books, and the lines are actually pretty good. So that's where we're currently sitting at. We might explore whether there's some route to get access to more things, but yeah, we're just seeing. Another option is like we could sort of monetize the predictions, and because it's not necessarily hurting us and our liquidity if I can't access Kalshi or Polymarket, for instance, but other people can, then great, we can sell a monthly subscription to the model. People pay for the picks or whatever, like that sometimes works, and it doesn't necessarily hurt us because I still get to place my bets or our bets. So yeah, that's kind of how we're thinking about it at the moment.
And the model will focus on Dota and not, or will you build more models, I suppose? Like, is it the goal to eventually move on to the next?
Yeah, I think so. I've started building a golf model and a Counter-Strike model, or just like speccing them out. But it's so much work. Like I said, I still spend hours a day on the Dota 2 model. Like, A, trying to improve it because there's always room for constant improvement. B, just making sure it runs smoothly because there's random bugs that get introduced, or like if you're scraping data for some new team that hasn't played before and the team name doesn't match the team name that you have in the database. There's all sorts of little issues that pop up. So it requires a lot of work to maintain. So I tried starting the golf and Counter-Strike models, but then I made a decision, you know what, let's just focus on the Dota one. It's good. We've got a good thing going. Let's just optimize it and make it even better. Maybe at some point I'll expand to other things, but I'm sticking to this for now.
Yeah, cool. Craig?
Yeah, I wanted to ask sort of the combination of AI with crypto. Do you think AI will reduce inefficiencies and kind of make it harder to benefit or profit from crypto over time? Do you think that's perhaps something that we might see coming up?
Definitely. I think it'll make it harder to profit in many areas, in the stock market, in regular trading, in the prediction market, in what I'm doing with Dota 2. I think in a year or two or whenever, if it becomes a lot easier for other people to make these same models, the competition will get greater and it will be tougher. And just like if it gets easier for people to trade and know how to trade well in crypto, and the average person is, instead of just being sort of the average person who doesn't really have an understanding of how markets work and how to set like stop losses and how to use or not use leverage and how to read charts. Like, imagine if just everyone had bots that were running for them and doing all this stuff. Like, the edges of you guys who know how to do these things would reduce because your competition is getting better. It's kind of the same thing that happened in online poker back in the day. I think we've seen it happen in crypto. I'd say it's tougher to make money in crypto now than 10 years ago. And I think it's going to continue to get tougher, but now it's going to be across all domains, really.
And what do you think with that coming up? What would you say is the best thing for people here listening right now to prepare for that? Is it a case of what you're going to
learn AI
and get better at it than the other people with the same tool?
Yeah, this is why I was saying before, the risk is not understanding this world, because you don't even have to be better than others necessarily, but just like keeping up. And then you can use your existing knowledge. Again, it comes back to having that domain knowledge. Like, you would have such an advantage over someone who has never traded before and then tries to use AI to trade, versus coming in with a background and history of a decade of trading and using AI. You just put yourself leaps and bounds ahead. But if you don't do that, maybe in a year or two, someone with no trading, even less, with no trading background, could start to have better results than professional traders.
Yeah, that's pretty massive, isn't it? Wow.
Do you think, like, there's a lot of algorithms out there, there's a lot of bots already, there's a lot of market makers probably already running AI models. Do you think it makes it easier because you'll know exact levels, or like will certain agents, let's think in 2 or 3 years time, 5 years time, like certain agents will be like, well, no, our agent is a little bit different because we want it to do this. Like, our risk is a little bit higher, or we're going to place our stop loss a little bit lower, right? Or like, do you think, like, is it going to be easier to read markets for a common person who maybe has even AI on their side as well? Or do you think there's no longer an opportunity to trade? Like, I'm fascinated by how it's going to affect real liquidity, I suppose.
I don't know is the real answer. I don't think it will get easier, because I think we'll have all these AI models, and like you said, they'll be doing different things. So it won't be that, everyone's trading with AI models and all the AI models do this, so we know that this is going to happen. There'll be infinite different models, all with different goals and risk tolerances and trying to do different things. And the tough part is, we don't know what they're trying to do, but even the people that created the models don't always know what they're trying to do. It's kind of a black box in some ways. And so trying to predict that gets, I think, tougher and tougher and tougher. Yeah, I think there will always be edges and opportunities and people that can use models and AI and everything better than others, and in different ways. And it's just different. It's going to be different. And but I do think the people that aren't using models at some point will probably struggle big time against those that are, as a general trend across sort of all industries and areas. Maybe there will be exceptions, but like as a general trend.
Okay. And my basic question: ChatGPT versus Claude. What have you found success with? Is one better than the other for certain experiences, certain prompts, or is it a collaboration of both? With, I don't know, do you use both for your OpenClaw as well?
Yeah, I've tried both. It's definitely different models are better at different things, but it's also, it keeps changing. Like ChatGPT came out with their 5.4 model like a week ago. Claude came out, Anthropic came out with Opus 4.6 a month ago. And so they're very much competing with each other to be the best overall. But still, like, Claude is better. I found it like front end design. If you want to build a website or a dashboard or anything like that, Claude just does it better. People say ChatGPT or Codex, which is their coding bot, is better at coding. I'm still using Claude for the Dota 2 model thing, but with OpenClaw and Yoshi, I hooked that up so that Yoshi can use Codex just to sort of compare and see how other things develop. And they're both extremely good. I think for most people, you probably wouldn't really tell too much of a difference unless, again, once you get into using it every single day for hours a day, that's when you'll start to, and be an expert, you start to notice the differences. But yeah, at the top end, like the best OpenAI model and the best Anthropic model are going to do virtually the same thing for 99% of people.
Yeah, cool. Great.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, you've shared some practical use for ChatGPT. Is there any underrated AI tool or hack that you use regularly that, you know, more of us should know about, Zen? Is there anything that you've got, you know, in your back pocket that you can pass on to me that I'm not using day to day?
I would say, yeah, so go over to, try Claude, because they have a whole suite of like tools and apps. So there's something called Claude Cowork, which is basically you install it on your computer and then you give it access to a folder on your computer, or more folders, but you give it access to your actual computer. And you can do this on a spare laptop, or it doesn't have to be your main computer. I think it's fairly safe to do on your main computer because it's well built and you only give it limited access. But anyway, then instead of just being this chat bot where you ask it to sort of spit things back to you, it can actually interact with your files. So for instance, if you have a file that has 1,000 documents, it can go in, it can read them, it can categorize them, it can put them into subfolders, it can clean up your entire order of things. Or if it can summarize them for you. If you like, you get an email from, let's say, an accountant with tons of information and PDFs and stuff, you just put it all in there and be like, hey, can you summarize this for me? What's the important stuff I need to know? And just like things like that, with a bit more active.
Yeah,
it's crazy. And then the next level up from that is using the Claude Code or the Codex, where you actually get it to code things for you. But I'd start with Cowork, and then move from there. I think it's super duper powerful, and it's only going to get better as well.
Yeah. Do you think something like the new, I know that new MacBook came out running like an iPhone 16, I think, type chip. Do you think that would be sufficient for a beginner to kind of have a fresh PC that could actually, would that be powerful enough to run these sort of things, do you think?
Yeah, honestly, you don't need anything powerful to run these things. Like you can use an 8-year-old laptop and run Claude Cowork or even OpenClaw. Like you just don't need a powerful device. Yeah. You can use it like a VPS, a virtual server as well, for like $5 or $10 a month and do some stuff there. But yeah, like I said, if you have an old computer lying around, just try it on that. For like, if you're doing it like specifically like downloading the official apps, like Claude Code or Claude Cowork, I have those on my main computers. I feel comfortable and safe with that. What I don't feel fully safe with is OpenClaw, because it's like this experimental new open source project you're giving it a lot of access to. But yeah, I think it's fair enough to just download Claude Cowork on your main computer and just like give it access to one folder and see what happens.
Yeah, I guess it's one of those things you kind of just have to get into the sand pit and just get your hands dirty, don't you? Like there's no clean way to do it, as far as you can get a clean PC, maybe if you want to be careful like me, but then just go to town and just get painting and make mistakes.
Best way to learn is by doing.
Yeah, just make mistakes and kind of, and see where it leads you. Because maybe I'm guessing what you think about it now and its use case might be quite different to what you thought a year ago once you started using the tool. Only then can you really understand it versus looking like me from a distance and trying to predict versus actually
100%.
getting the tool in your hand and going, let's go, let's get dirty, let's see where this ends up. Who knows? I might end up being a crazy user of this greenie. Maybe I'll become the AI lord.
Hey, Craig, you've been talking the talk for about a month, and you're not walking the walk yet, buddy. You're not walking the walk.
Turtle wins the race.
How do you think? So the world of investing. Let's switch the pace to here. The world of investing, the world of making money. Like as you touched on before, crypto. It's getting harder to make money. I would agree with that. I think there's less opportunity, particularly in a bear trend. Like that's natural in itself. There will be opportunities again in the future, but as technology advances, as people get smarter, as people find edges, okay, that's why meme coins are basically so manipulated now because people have found an edge. Whereas if you were early to that trend, well, then you could have like made a lot of money, like what we kind of did, right? So my question to you is what's the best way to get exposure to AI? Is it like obviously building and growing your knowledge, automation processes, saving time in particular ways? Or is it looking to try and invest into these companies once they become, post IPO? Is it investing in companies that are already out there that have infrastructure or that have data or that have Google who are like building Gemini? Like, or is it then, okay, well, should I look in the crypto realm of like Tau or Near or Virtuals or Render, right? Who have already embedded a bit of AI? Or is it things that you want to be protecting your money now until there's better opportunities to maybe invest in the future? I'd love to tap into what you're thinking in that regard.
All of the above.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think the only sort of non-negotiable there is using it, understanding it yourself, because until you do that, you won't. If you're not doing that, you won't really be able to evaluate like which crypto projects are sensible and which ones are scammy, which companies out there are actually necessary and which ones have inflated prices and things like that. So yeah, do that. But then there's many other ways to make money. It's like it is like finding those companies or projects or crypto tokens that seem like they have value and utility and are maybe underpriced to you, and deciding if you want to get in or not. And also the last point you said I think was really important as well, which was consider having, maybe your position is no position and you just have a stockpile of cash waiting for a certain thing, but at least that's a plan. So I would say some combination of all of the above, but I think it's where a lot of the biggest opportunities over the next 1 to 2 years will come from, is AI related stuff. And it's been the case for the last couple of years as well already.
Yeah. I think that, and that's my answer. I think diversification in the realm of AI is probably the right way to go about it, as well as using it and building with it. I've just lost my thought, but there's a commenter there as well who's just said, any suggestions on how to sell/share a profitable strategy trading view script? I mean, that's the secret sauce, Richard. I would agree. That's something that I want to build, bro. So I'm not going to give away my secrets for free, but I think people are already starting to build those sort of things. I've seen like there's a guy I follow on Twitter, or a couple of people on Twitter who have been building out full like in collaboration with Lux Algo, which is like one of the most well-known trading view script creators for free for the last 10 years. So fascinating. I think it's definitely it's more about like we spoke about earlier. It's like finding your edge around what do you actually have an advantage of, and then how can you create a product of that and then sell that as a product. That's at least the way that I want to kind of approach it. I've remembered my question. Has this whole AI situation and where the world's heading changed your opinion on crypto? And with regards to that, we last spoke, I think it was earlier in the year or late last year. You had 5, I think, main core portfolio holdings at the time. Has that really shifted your whole perspective about how you approach trading, investing in crypto moving forward?
Yeah, it's a good question. I wouldn't say that this has really changed my perception of crypto. I think my perception of crypto has changed over the last couple of years. Maybe to be slightly more bearish overall, just because of bear market aside, just the fact of how retail never really came this last cycle. We've been around for so long. There's so much scams. There's real use cases are struggling to get adoption, all this kind of stuff. But I'm still incredibly bullish on the overall future outlook of crypto. I think, it's necessary and it's powerful. And I think AI needs crypto and blockchains, because AI agents will operate autonomously on chain in a way that they can't really do without blockchains, in my view. So I'm incredibly bullish. I have but yeah, just in terms of like where to spend my time and attention, I think there's more opportunity in the AI space specifically, with making sure that, as I stay within the crypto space, that, I mean, my focus has been on AI tokens within crypto for a long time, and will largely remain so. As for like my 5 largest holdings, I think it must basically be the same, because I've done very little trading over the last sort of 6 months. The only difference might be that there's a new token, or 2 tokens, VVV and DM. They're part of the Venice AI ecosystem that I've always held VVV. Since like the day it launched. I got an airdrop from them for being active on base way before then, and virtuals. So yeah, I've been holding and staking a bunch of that. And then I recently got a bunch of DM maybe a month or 2 ago. I think those are 2 really exciting tokens. But otherwise, yeah, Tau, Hype, Bitcoin, Rect, and ETH probably make up my top 5 positions still.
Do you like, and Craig and I have touched on this point, I think AI integration with blockchain technology just makes so much sense when you consider the centralized nature of banks. Does that make Ethereum just so undervalued because everyone in institutional wealth is like plowing money, plowing ideas? It's scalable now as Vitalik's really upgraded it over the last few years. Like, does that make Ethereum, maybe Solana, but like it feels as though institutions and capital wealth at that scale is choosing Ethereum. They're not going to Solana or Sui or something else. Like, it really feels like EVM is where they're heading, and it actually makes L2s, 3s, 4s quite bearish, right? Because there's so much focus on scaling ETH in the right capacity. Does that make you? I said earlier in the week that I think it makes Ethereum very worthwhile as a product, because maybe it's just ahead of its time once AI integrates fully with it. I don't know what your opinion. You're a much bigger Ethereum bull than I am, so I'd love to get your take on that integration.
Yeah, I'm a massive Ethereum bull, and I still am. But it's now been split in that I'm incredibly bullish Ethereum, the network. I'm less bullish ETH, the token. I think that we've seen a lack of reasons why a lot of the value is necessarily going to drive back to the token price. I think it can and will and likely has a lot of potential in the future, but it's less clear to me now than, say, 5 years ago, or even 3 years ago, why ETH, the token, would perform well price wise. So I actually hold less actual ETH than I have maybe in 5 years. But I have a lot of exposure via NFTs denominated in ETH, and then tokens built on top of ETH. So like Venice, VVV, and DM, and Rect. And so I have ETH related exposure, but ETH, the token itself, is not actually in one of my top 5 holdings, but it is when I consider my NFTs.
Okay, that's an interesting answer. I love hearing that. So would you say then you think the narrative, if we want to call it that, and maybe the token price go up of Bitcoin still is probably a better play than something like Ethereum?
Yeah, I think Bitcoin will always generally be the better play, the safer play, just the better play. Like, Bitcoin is king for a reason. I think Bitcoin has some faults and flaws as well. And I think maybe the fact that, like, I don't think my views here, I've spoken to so many other people who say the same thing. Like, oh, I'm bullish on Ethereum, but ETH, the token. And if everyone is saying that, maybe that actually means it's a good time to be buying, because, you'd be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. So maybe the fact that I'm thinking and saying this now means that actually it is a good time to be stacking ETH, and ETH will do well in the future. It's it's hard to predict, but that's why I have exposure. It's just not as much as it was before.
Yeah, cool. Craig?
Yeah, I was going to ask, who would be some recommended follows, or where's some good AI materials, Zeneca? Where would someone say there's a lot of, I know when I first came to crypto, the hardest part was figuring out, I started with YouTube. So I was following YouTube crypto, and that just led me down the wrong track mostly. Where would you say, for the viewers out there, is the best place to start? Some good people to follow. I mean, obviously yourself, but some other recommendations, or where are some good resources people can kind of start on the right track versus following people that are just going to lead them astray and get them wrecked, per se?
It's funny you should ask that. I'm actually in the process of launching a new community. I have 2 co-founders, and so I launched Zen Academy in 2021, which is sort of a place for people to learn about NFTs and crypto. And but it was, the whole idea behind Zen Academy was, a place where it wasn't FOMO driven, and it wasn't hype maxing and, yelling at people and saying, oh, you must get a Mac Mini or you're going to fall behind, and that kind of stuff. It was sort of a quiet place where people could come and learn and ask questions. And so, yeah, we've launched this new community on the School platform, SKOOL. Okay. It's called the Stoa of AI, STOA. Again, drawing back to that inspiration from Zen Academy and ancient Greeks, basically. So Stoa is where people would sort of gather to learn from philosophers back 2,000 years ago. So we're taking that like ancient wisdom meets the modern age philosophy. And yeah, we run live workshops every week. We answer questions, and it's a paid community. I should probably say that it's not a full free thing. We've learned our lessons. I learned my lesson from trying to do NFTs as a business model and give everything away for free. It just doesn't quite work. But yeah, so we launched that a couple of weeks ago. We're still in the early beta stages. We haven't gone public yet. This is actually, I think, the first time I've spoken about it publicly. But end of the month, we'll go fully public. And yeah, so that's. I mean, obviously, I'm going to talk about that because I'm very excited and passionate about it. The other way I would say is like there's tons of great resources on Twitter and on YouTube. The best thing I found is to find people yourself, because everyone learns differently from different people, but to go into it with a very critical mindset and not just follow the loudest people and not just follow the people making the boldest claims, and really look for the quieter people or the ones that are explaining things in a way that you resonate with and can understand. There's plenty out there.
That's sick, dude. No, and for the viewers out there, I didn't actually know Zeneca was doing that, so that wasn't
it was a really nice layup, yeah. Because
that looked like a layup, but it wasn't meant to be.
It's like I said, I haven't spoken about it publicly before, but we're just in that phase now where we're starting to think about ramping it up, and public launch will again be end of the month.
It's a good product when you've probably got people asking about it like me, and we didn't know it exactly. Is there a name that we can look out for, or anything like that? If you want to keep that private, that's fine.
Yeah, no. So it's literally the Stoa, STOA, of AI. And yeah, it's on this platform, School, SKOOL, which is Alex Hormozi's, like, you know, it's for like video learning and classes and courses and things like that. It's a nice platform. It's got everything baked in. And yeah, we currently run 4 video calls, live workshops a week, but we're going to ramp that up to 8 once we go public.
Awesome.
My 2 co-founders, yeah, they've been in the AI space for years, and they're really experts on this. Like I'm learning like rapidly and trying to teach people that are like one step behind me, but they've been learning for 3 years and running workshops themselves. So they bring a lot more expertise to the table, which is nice.
No, how did you meet these 2 guys, out of curiosity?
Through Zen Academy. So like I've known them for like 4 years through Zen Academy. Frank, one of them, he lives in Canada. He runs sort of a marketing agency, but over the last couple of years, he's basically moved into now helping local small businesses integrate AI into their workflows to, like as one example, one of his new clients was looking to hire 3 or 4 people, and instead they hired Frank, and he's going to optimize, like teach their current employees how to use AI to do the things that they were going to hire people to do. Yeah, so he came to my wedding. I've known him for years. Came from Canada to Australia for the wedding, which is kind of crazy.
Wow, that's cool.
And then Arthur is the other co-founder, and I've also known through Zen Academy for years. He's co-founder of a company called Yield Seeker. It's on Base, and it uses like AI agents to automate yield for you. So you just sort of deposit some money, and then they go out and find the best yield. So yeah, he's been building with AI for years and teaching workshops on AI and crypto. So yeah, they're both excellent guys, very smart, educated, and good teachers. So very happy to be building this with them, and happy to not be doing it solo, because yeah, being a solo founder was tough.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, you're preaching my language. No, okay, we won't take too much more of your time. I suppose, if someone was looking to get started today, what is seriously, like, is it just set up Claude? Let's go down the more advanced route. So with OpenClaw, like, if someone was starting from scratch, so say I wanted to set this up right now, later today, what is the best way to go down that route of OpenClaw with Claude?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess like 2 ways. Like if you're starting full from scratch, you've only ever used ChatGPT or something, I wouldn't say OpenClaw. Like just go play with Claude, play with some other models, and then later on look into this. But if you do want to set up OpenClaw yourself, there's a website. I think it's I don't know what it is, just openclaw.com maybe. Anyway, you go openclaw.ai is the website, and it just tells you how to do it. There's like step-by-step instructions. You do have to be a little like either be technical or use some technical tools and step out of your comfort zone, because it uses the terminal, which is sort of like you think about like whenever you watch like a hacker movie and they're like typing rapidly and it's all like text on a black screen or green text on a screen, like the Matrix. You're kind of in like a terminal window like that, which every computer has. Most of us just haven't ever used it before. Exactly, DOS, that kind of thing. So you open that up, and you can do it either on Mac or Windows, and you basically just put a command line prompt in. It's just copy paste text, and it'll install it for you. It'll walk you through it. depending on your device, you might need to install a couple other things. But again, it will. But honestly, the easiest way is do that, but then also have ChatGPT or Claude just open on the side. And if you run into any problems, be like, hey, I'm trying to set up OpenClaw. Take a screenshot and be like, hey, I got this error message. How do I fix it? And it will just tell you and walk you through. So that's how I got started, and it worked.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's literally what I use. I'm probably quite progressed along the spectrum of like chatting agents. I just haven't gone to that automation level just yet and building sort of agents in itself. Craig, did you have any other last questions? I've got a couple, but that's
No, I think Zen's kind of covered my sort of basic ones, Greenie. So yeah, feel free to fire away, brother.
yeah. Okay.
Just to jump in real quick, just because something you said there, Greenie, about how you're at that chat level and not the automation. I honestly don't think most people should jump into like the OpenClaw automation. Like I spend just as much time trying to fix OpenClaw than I do being productive. And there's many days where I feel less productive because of it. It's like a passion, a curiosity thing, wondering about the future. But I would recommend just, use Claude Cowork, use Claude Code, learn these things first. You can be super productive and do so much cool stuff. And you can get to automating it later because the tools to automate are going to be better later. Like OpenClaw is super new. It's open source. It's clunky. Give us a month and there'll be way more better products out there that do exactly the same thing.
That's a really good search. I haven't. Yeah, fair. No, I think the next decision would be Claude Cowork for me. I think that is where I'm ready to rumble. Okay, a couple bold claims. So when does AGI hit us? When does the singularity happen? Talk to us about the doom and gloom.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to say. Like the goalposts keep moving for AGI, and the definition of what is AGI keeps moving as well. But I mean, at least 2032 plus or something like that, which is so crazy soon if that actually is real, true AGI.
That's our lifetime. Yeah,
I know. And what was the other question? When does singularity? Yeah, I don't know. I can't. Again, like human brains aren't designed to think in exponentials. It could happen in 2 years, like AGI. It could happen in 20. It could never happen. Like it's crazy.
One of the lead AI guys at Google was on the Diary of CEOs podcast, and he said AGI is probably 2 to 10 years away. So it's interesting. Yeah. So I mean, it's a fascinating thought. I mean, I think the big thing for me and what a lot of people can't comprehend is there's things that are going to happen in the future that we can't even comprehend. And I mean, if you just look at history, it's so obvious. Okay, 100 years ago, we're literally chatting on a computer, like
try
talking
to explain
with
the internet.
It's just 100 years ago, people would have. I mean, 30 years ago, this was a dream, right? So, as you said, exponential growth in tech and the world is fascinating. If you aren't using AI, you're putting yourself at a severe disadvantage. I very much agree. Okay, last one. Make a bold claim of AI. Whatever your bold claim could be. What do you think happens in a certain time period, or what's upcoming?
Bold claim by AI. I think it's going to plunge the world into a spiral of unemployment in the next 5 years. I've been saying this since 2022, 2023, and I think after that it'll be this excellent utopian level world where the price of things are down. AI will help eliminate poverty and disease and water issues and so many things. But I think there will be a period between now and then where, because of how powerful it is and how quickly it's moving and how difficult it is for the real world to keep up with it, and most people aren't going to be able to keep up with it, a lot of people will sort of lose jobs. Companies will stop hiring. It's going to just create this weird period of time where governments and people adapt and have to catch up to it, even though they're obviously thinking about it now. It's sort of like a pessimistic claim, but then appended with a very optimistic future beyond that, because AI will make everything cheaper and better. Like housing is so impossibly expensive in Australia, is one example. When you have AI little robots that are being able to construct and build buildings and gather the resources and transport goods and create entire towns and buildings, like that's going to bring the costs down 90%. So like people, I think, will have a much better life because of AI and not even talking about like the health breakthroughs and stuff that we're having, curing cancer and stuff one day, hopefully. But I think there will be a darker period before then. And the best way to protect yourself for that is to use AI and get up to speed with it. And then don't take crazy risks, keep cash, don't have all your money in the stock market or in crypto or whatever, just general sound principles there.
Yeah, I very much agree with all of that, mate. So,
Yeah.
Zen, thanks so much for jumping on with us. It's great to always have you on the show, and I think this is. I'm sure we will be probably revisiting this topic with you again in maybe 3 months' time. So, is there anything? Yeah, I mean, obviously you've got Zeneca is you've got your newsletter. You've obviously got Zen Academy. You've obviously spoken about this new AI community that you're building. You guys can go check that out. It's the Stoa of AI over at school. I've got it up on my page right now. Anything else you want to leave us with today, mate? Before you jump.
No, thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, happy to come on and chat AI anytime. Like
Yeah,
clearly,
dude.
I'm obsessed and passionate about it, and happy to chat. It's really cool and exciting. I'll say that I think that there is sort of like once you get into it, there's this tendency to feel like AI FOMO or anxiety, where it's like, oh, I'm not keeping up with it. I must keep up with it. And I think while I've said that, yeah, there's a risk to not being involved and not paying attention. It's not that catastrophic. And I think that just spending an hour a day, half an hour a day, just doing something new with AI, like just download an app, just read a thing, that's going to put you ahead of 99.9% of people on Earth. So just like, it doesn't take a lot to just be curious.
Yeah. And I think most people in crypto are that way, aren't we? We're sort of the curious people in tech. I mean, like Reedy and you were saying, man, if you had told my grandparents 30 years ago that I'd be on a stream where people could see me live. I mean, we're talking on the other day on stream, just before you go, how when the internet came around, they said, don't talk to people on the internet, strangers.
Yep.
And now that's all I do. All I do. I don't really talk with people I know anymore. I talk with strangers all day, every day. So it's so interesting how the world in 2 decades, 3 decades can completely flip from don't talk to strangers to you definitely should talk to strangers.
Yeah.
It's awesome, man.
Or like, don't put your credit card information on the internet. Like that was a big one when I was growing up. And
man.
now everyone uses Amazon.
It's all I
Everyone
do.
just buys stuff online. Yeah, it's better. It's just cheaper, and
It's fantastic. I just want to say as well from me, thanks for jumping on, Zen. This has been great. I've got Claude co-work up now, so I'm going to start getting into that. So
nice. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm always happy to help.
So we'd probably love to get you back in a few weeks or a few months just to progress the conversation. I think people are interested in this, and if you're not, like you said, you know, you're going to fall behind, man. It's like horse and cart and an engine coming. You know, you either stay with your horse and cart or you advance to the engine. What are you going to do? You got to do it sometime. So I'm with you on that. So thank you so much for your time, brother. And good to have another Aussie here, man. That's good. Let's go.
Yeah. Awesome.
Nah, easy, guys. Thanks, chat, for jumping in. Thanks for the questions. And, guys, as always, we'll be back again live tomorrow, same time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard, 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard. Massive shout out to Roy, to Zeneca for jumping on. Massive shout out to Craig for coming back after he was sick yesterday. Guys, we appreciate you. Drop 5-star rating on Spotify if you're new there. Thank you very much. We do appreciate it. And if obviously you're watching elsewhere, drop a follow or drop a sub if you're on YouTube.